What's up, Rockstars? Welcome to my review of Okko Chronicles Cycles of Earth. This is going to be a little bit different, as you can see, because I'm in a different location here. I'll talk about it in just a moment. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. If you appreciate the videos I make every single week for you guys, and you can give even $1 a month, there's a link down below to that. Thank you so much. That out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into things. This is obviously different. I normally have it all set up. I normally am sitting over at the table. I'm not doing that because I want to get this out to you right away. I got this very late, as you saw. I actually had an unboxing like right before the campaign even started. So I've rushed, I've read the rule book, I've played some games, I'm ready to talk about it. It is not played as much as I would like. However, this also didn't come with like the scenario book with all the scenarios. And so just, you know, just know that I'm going into this having played a lot of Okko Chronicles, but not necessarily a lot of the Cycle of Earth. Now, there's actually only a few differences, and we'll talk through those. But for the most part, I'm just trying to get this out to you guys so that it's helpful for you guys, so you guys know my thoughts on it at the time that they're asking money on the Kickstarter, which is linked down below. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and pop up the pros and cons and go through things. Now, right off the bat, I need to explain the Black Tiger. This game can be played solo, it can be played fully co-op, or semi-co-op. They say semi-co-op, but it's really kind of still a one versus many, where there's a group of people that are playing as heroes and one person playing as the Black Tiger that's against them, that is always there, whether it's AI driven or not. But if it's a player, then they can play that role. That being said, the Black Tiger has some very interesting abilities. It's much different than playing the Demon in Okko Chronicles proper, which, speaking of which, I do have an older review, but I do have a review out for Okko Chronicles. I'll link down to that down below as well. But like one of the abilities that he has, because it can be very sneaky and very powerful, and it's a very interesting take on kind of a bad guy character, but is the smoke cloud, where he can actually, you know, divvy out into three different things, like they appear adjacent to where he was, and then you can move them independently. Only one of him's the real one, so he can kind of like dissipate, you don't know where he's going, kind of thing. And then the heroes always have to like question, you know, okay, well, you know, do we think he's still going towards this one? You know, what's he gonna do? It's always fun playing that character and seeing the heroes discuss things and trying not to smile. And that's if you've played an Overlord role, then you know how fun that can be. The Black Tiger transformation is also very interesting. So, if you didn't know, either at a certain time period, like at the end of Another thing that's really cool is a Black Tiger transformation. It actually is kind of a sudden death requirement, which is kind of neat. If you didn't know, eventually you'll get a card that has the transformation, and once that happens, the Black Tiger transforms into the atrocity, and that is such a cool thing. Very powerful, very strong, and now suddenly all efforts go towards that while still not allowing the fortress to fall. And it's very, very hard. Essentially, heroes get like 2 turns to beat this guy, and they can. I mean, it's certainly possible, but it is kind of a neat thing to do that, to have it just kind of like randomly shift tones like that. And then of course, this is a Black Tiger. You just go crazy. You just go kill guys. It's a lot of fun. And really, the Black Tiger can also be quite nasty. He can remove player weapons, he can disable devices, he can spawn enemies, and a ton more. He can do quite a bit. He has a lot of tricks up his sleeves. So if you're playing as one of the players, having played the Black Tiger, it's like playing the Demon from Okko Chronicles from the get-go, from turn one. He's strong and is messing with people and is not a fun character to deal with. So you're tempted to kind of, as a hero, go after him, but at the same time, you have to manage your defenses. You have to make sure that you're doing the salvos and the volleys and the attacks, and making sure, maybe send a hero out actually outside of the fortress to go attack some of the enemies back there, or get rid of a monk, stuff like that. So there's a lot to kind of juggle and handle there, which is nice. I don't know really of another tower defense game that has it this strong, this kind of traitor character, this person that's actively sabotaging devices and actively trying to take it out from within and not just from outside. Now, let's talk about a negative. The index needs some work. Obviously, everything here is prototype. Everything here is kind of, working on, improving. And so this is the time to offer that kind of suggestions. Like, for instance, they have amputated listed there, but all it says is it's a status applied to a character. That doesn't tell me anything. And it doesn't give any page numbers at all. It needs to give page numbers. But then, like, if I try to look up something like what natural talent is, it's not listed there at all. So the index is pretty much useless right now. It needs to be a lot more thorough, and it needs to list actual page numbers. I care a lot more about page numbers, actually, than a short little definition in the back. Let's see. Wounds are great. Now, this is harkening back to Okko Chronicles proper. However, I know not a lot of you have played that game. So first of all, fair warning, I love Okko Chronicles. One of my favorite games. I can't tell you enough great things about it. And it is by far the biggest diamond in the rough I have seen, because in my opinion, it's just as good as a game like Limbo Miniatures, but it doesn't have the traction that even Limbo got because of the minis. So trust me, Okko Chronicles is great. One of the things that makes it great is the wound system. They debuff you, they take up a turn, and having too many of them kills you. So you have to work as a team to accommodate somebody who's going to be playing a wound card. That also goes to the weakness card. So every single character has a weakness, and that weakness card actually heals you. So you want to use the weakness card to heal up. However, again, it has a negative thing that happens. It soaks up a turn, and so you have to kind of balance when to do it, and how much of push your luck on how many wounds can I get before I have to play that nasty card. And then once you do, you need to work with your team, and there's a lot of team discussion about when to play that weakness card. When are you going to have Okko just have a crapshoot of a turn and make everything worse around him, but heal up? And it's a very interesting discussion to have, and you definitely want to keep the discussion, because the last thing you want is to have everybody play a weakness card at the same time. That's probably a game-ending move. It can be that big of a deal, but you do need to do it. And so finding the best time to do something terrible is kind of what those weakness cards are and what those wound cards are. The action cards in general are still the highlight of the game. Choosing between a buff and a skill, you would think that's just something simple, but it's not. You will sit there and hem and haw and talk with your other heroes and work together to try and figure out not only where you need to go, what devices you need to do, what places you need to defend, who to go towards an attack, what your whole goal is on this turn, but then how best to do it. Oh, I can play this turn, and that's really strong, but it also has this really good skill, and I want to be able to use that, but I don't need it right now. I'm not in the position, so maybe I do that. It's wonderful, and it's a fantastic system. It's simple yet nuanced. The rules of Okko Chronicles are not complex, but it is such a joy to play. There's a lot of fun to be had there, and it's definitely thanks to those action cards. The heroes are also hugely powerful, and they feel great, which is very, very nice to do. So you have unique actions that are really powerful, like Okko can re-roll a whole bunch of dice, or you can get a free attack after your movement, or your free volleys, or there's all these different things you can do. Each of the characters feel very strong, and that's always really nice to do. One of the great things about the action card skills is that they include other team members. For instance, Okko can be friends with his buddies, and essentially if they are near each other, some skill cards will mention you get this bonus if you're in the same area as this other person, and they might have cards that say the same thing. So it's not just that you're playing your own things and trying to kind of do things that match the overall strategy. But you guys are actively saying, hey, let's go meet here and do this. Let's do this together. And that is always really interesting. Anytime I see something where I can pick a card, but my card mentions another player and I need to include that other player in my decision process and actually talk to that other player, very, very awesome. Very cool to do and quite thematic as well. It really kind of helps that role play sense a little bit. The Kami are very powerful. If you didn't know, the Kami are these summons that you can do. They both have an effect of just being on the board, but then they also have like 2 special actions. They're all powerful. They're all strong. The water one in particular, because it can help prevent people from even getting near the fortress, is huge. But then of course the fire one can explode and like kill everybody around them. And the Kami are very fun. And so being a kind of a summoner is very neat. And also along with Kami, you can have followers, and the followers are quite cool too. We had them in Okko Chronicles. We had the Kami in Okko Chronicles, not quite in the way that they're put in here now. But I found the Kami to be more strong, but both are fun. So I enjoyed both. The events add an interesting twist. So here you're turning an event every single round, and the events can do stuff like they can change your activation order up on you. They can start you off with damage. They can give you fewer actions. There's a lot of nastiness they can do. None of it's fun, but all of it is adding new things for you to kind of deal with and overcome as a team. Each hero is unique. That's always really important, but like they really do feel like you're doing different things. For instance, Setsuka is definitely the support. She's up near the ramparts, ordering people to go do things and getting reinforcements and buffing them up and kind of being almost like kind of a commander role. But then you also have stuff like Noboru, who's like a scout warrior. He gets a free attack after a movement, so he can like move and attack. He can jump around the board and go to different areas and just move kind of no matter what. So you're zipping along everywhere, attacking people as you go. But then when he needs to, he can be a heavy hitter as well. So very much kind of a scout warrior mix for him. And you feel that when you play him. Notion is the healer summoner. He's the one summoning those Kamis, doing all those powerful things. He's the one going up to his teammates and healing. Again, all of these characters feel different. And then Okko's just kind of the heavy hitter. He's just there. You sit him on the boss and he just pounds at him. That's what he does. And he does it quite well. He's a scary person to go up against. I can tell you that much. So it's really great to have all these characters not have like all these new rules that they have to follow, but instead just naturally through their skill ability cards, their action cards, when you're using those, you're actively doing different things that are unique to that character that makes it feel different, gives it a different flavor. So playing, the healer and the summoner feels different than playing the support, which feels different than playing the scout person who's zipping around. You're typically the one dealing with the devices and stuff like that. So that's always kind of neat to do too. The personal missions, those are nice because they change things up. For instance, I am not one to deal with the devices. I'll tell you why in a moment. However, I got a mission that says, hey, you need to activate 2 devices. Well, I guess I'm going to go activate 2 devices. So it kind of forces you to incentivizes you to play a certain way. And it might not be the way you normally play, so it can get you a little out of your comfort zone because there is a benefit to achieving those. And so you kind of want to, not only as a group, but just personally want to do that. And it can do all the other things. So maybe it's kill 8 guys, right? And maybe you're typically play the healer. Right. So now suddenly you're busy, focusing on being a summoner. So you still have your healer guy, but you're busy trying to kill people through your Kami, stuff like that. There are so many great things I could mention. There's the chess on how you get to draw, and then you only get to keep a certain amount, and you do a skill check that way. Speaking of skill checks, unless they're direct skill checks, actually get a -1 if you fail. So they do eventually get to go through. You're not stuck there, not able to open a door or something silly like that because you just can't pass it. It gets easier the more you bang on that door, right? Until eventually the door just pretty much falls off. That's the idea, and it's a very nicely implemented. It's an easy thing, -1 each time you do that, so you can kind of get that taken care of. Not that there are any super important skill checks that are like going to break the game or anything like that. But the dice combat, all of it, just a lot of fun. Now, the devices, I kind of mentioned, I didn't go towards the devices because I kind of found them a little lackluster. Like, they're all right. They're okay. There's some interesting ones for sure. But they just, either they weren't my jam or I just didn't feel like that was the best use of my time typically. If I was right there and I didn't have good cards, yeah, sure, I'll activate them. I can get some buffs. Like, they're good. I just felt like I was always stronger as a hero, at least personally, and so I tended to just not really mess with them. And then as the Black Tiger, you're just sabotaging them anyway, so you don't care about them then either. Unlike Okko proper, unlike the Okko Chronicles proper, this has you combat both player and the AI at the same time, or it's full co-op, of course, right? But that is something different. Normally, it was a one versus many. There wasn't really much of an AI in the sense of like the thing swarming and then the other guy just doing that, right? It kind of was, but this one, I think, edges a bit more 50-50, where you're very much dealing with that AI regardless of the player, but then you can have that player kind of attacking you as well. And I would still like some more action cards for variety. There's still the issue where, as great as they are, there's not a whole bunch of them. That means they're quite unique, of course, but it means that you're playing like, 2 all the time, and you see them all very quickly, and then over time, that's all there is. The other worry I have, again, I was not able to play the scenarios, but the Okko Chronicles proper, the scenarios are wildly different, but it's because you're actively like doing different things in the different scenarios. And I do worry about the whole, tower defense, fortress defense area thing, that it might get a little samey. So it'll be interesting to see what the scenarios are. I can't comment on that. I've not seen them. But anyway, that is my review. Honestly, I know it's quite positive. And that's because so was my first one. It's a pretty great game. I really enjoy it. It's a gem that goes unnoticed for I don't know why. I can't fathom why, except that maybe other creators don't cover it as much because it's not as popular, which then kind of leads to people just not knowing how great it really is. Okko Chronicles is a fantastic game and a fantastic game system that if you like the games I like, I can highly recommend. I think you will enjoy. That being said, it is kind of a small time thing, right? And so there is some oddities around that rule book. I kind of mentioned that. And honestly, even when they finally deliver, I still expect some oddities around that rule book. There is that worry about variety with the scenarios, right? So there's some things you need to go in and kind of think about and kind of decide for yourself for sure. But by and large, very fun, had a great time with it. And that's it. That's all I had. There is links down below to everything I mentioned, of course, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I know this is not the normal review I do, and I do apologize for that. Hopefully the information was still good for you, even though I'm not sitting in the proper thing. I'm not holding up the things, all that. I'm trying to get this out to you guys as soon as I can. So sorry about that, but hopefully you still enjoyed it. And with that out of the way, I have Anasteer to unbox. So if you're looking forward to Anasteer, that is coming up. Subscribe so you don't miss that. Seriously, you cannot trust YouTube for jack, but I will be unboxing that and hopefully you'll be able to see it. All right, that's all. Take care, guys.